So we're here in Indiana at the Global Entrepreneurship Congress. How's it been?
It's been really good so far. A lot of information
Yeah, there's lots, isn't it?
to take in.
Yeah.
It's quite overwhelming. Like, I'm looking forward to the flight back
To
in the
process it
sense
all.
to process it all, like to look back on my notes. And I'm really glad that some of the sessions have been recorded as well, because there is some nuggets to take back. So it's been good. And also, like, meeting people from around the world. I do feel that this has been a conference where you actually do have representation from around the world.
Totally. I think that's one of the big takeaways for me is that I've been to quite a few conferences. It's starting to go around conferences quite a bit, and particularly in the States. And this is the first one I think really lives up to the name of like global.
Yeah.
And like you've got other conferences like International XYZ, but I think that's definitely something I've noticed. There's been large delegations from Africa, from Latin America, from Australia, and then the UK as well. But also, I guess the really cool thing is you're here as a finalist in the Global Entrepreneurship Awards. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what have you done to be a finalist in a global awards and be flown here to Indiana?
Yeah, I'm incredibly humbled to be recognised, especially on a global stage by the Global Entrepreneurship Network. I found out about a month ago, so it's been a quick turnaround, but I'm one of 5 finalists, and it's recognition for us at Bright Red Triangle as organisers of Startup Huddle Edinburgh. So one of the things that we're recognised in the award for is the fact that last year we had a global first in the Global Entrepreneurship Network Huddle. We hosted the first women and gender minority huddle, which is incredible.
Love it.
So that is referenced around the world now, which is
From Edinburgh, Napier
from
University
Edinburgh
to Indiana.
University. So that was really incredible, and it's driven by the work that we're currently doing on Sustainable Development Goal 5. So we launched the SDG 5 Living Lab last year, and one of the things that we looked at was the Startup Huddle, and alongside the team at Bright Red Triangle and the initiative that Emma Ives is running, we looked at what we could do differently and what we could offer more of, and it's partly led by the two-way communication that we have with our members as well. But that was something that we probably really needed to get going.
Well, I as you know, we at Starting are big fans of everything you guys do at Edinburgh Napier. You're obviously one of our university partners too. So I guess we're not surprised that you're up for something here and you're being recognised for what you do. I guess what's interesting in your space, you're both obviously working at Edinburgh Napier University with Bright Red Triangle and the startup studio there, but you've also then got the sort of national director role for Global Entrepreneurship Network in Scotland. So how have you found those like combining together? And I guess that's where Startup Huddle then came from. I don't know why you brought that in.
Yeah, so I connected with Mark Ortman's UK chair about the national director role, and I thought it was good because it actually aligned with a lot of the activity that we're doing, and part of it was to lead the campaign in Scotland for the Global Entrepreneurship Week, so building those connections to make sure people are aware that that happens. And the reality is people are always doing stuff during Global Entrepreneurship Week, but the logistics around making sure that it's badged to say that it's part, and that the global network knows about it. So there's actually a way that they encourage you to make sure that you sign up, you register, you use the right logo, and then you put it on the global platform, because otherwise people are going on the World Labs Global Entrepreneurship Network community platform, and they can't see any activity going on in the UK or Edinburgh. So for us locally, we're seeing all these things promoted saying, I'm doing this during Global Entrepreneurship Week. But for me, I now have that perspective that when you come to something like this, they might be seeing that, oh, wait, your country didn't actually do that much during Global Entrepreneurship Week. So that was a new perspective for me. So when I'm having conversations now in the national director role, that's what I'm thinking of. And also taking the way that we've used the huddle, and then when we're speaking to other institutions in Scotland saying, why don't you maybe look at doing this model, how it works, and
Tell us a little bit about the model then, because I think it's interesting. In the States, you have things like 1 million cups. So they, I I'm not going to do a really great job of explaining it, but I know that the idea, the premise behind it is 1 million cups of coffee. Theirs is very much like a morning thing. Some the communities in the States would have it literally as a weekly staple, like Wednesday morning, 7 a.m., free cup of coffee sponsored by someone. Someone pitches that the community's there just to connect them to the ecosystem. And how, I guess, would the Startup Huddle methodology or format differ? And I guess, what value have you seen in it from just a pitching competition or something else that are quite common?
So within the Global Entrepreneurship Network, the huddle organisers are very supportive. So if you're new to it, you've actually got quite a bit of knowledge and connection around you. But basically, the methodology is that you get a template to follow for the program where you're sharing either one or two entrepreneurial stories, and there'll be an element of that conversation with the entrepreneur where you're asking questions. You get a catalogue of questions that you can ask within the Startup Huddle, so you can be guided on that. So you're always asking similar questions, and you're trying to dig into the challenges that they're maybe facing, so that when you go into the feedback and the conversations and the questions after this story is being told, there's a chance for people to say, you should really be connecting with this company if you haven't already. This is my experience of that. I really hope this nugget of information is someone you can take away. Or you share your own challenges then back to the entrepreneur and say, is this something you've got experience and you can help me alleviate it? So I think that platform allows people to then move into the networking part to actually say, well, I'm open to sharing my challenges that I am facing. Let's be honest about it. You've shown me in the first half that people are open to sharing challenges and alleviating them in the room and giving me the tools. I'm now ready to say, this is something I'm really suffering with. This is the room to ask the question, and hopefully I walk away feeling like that wasn't as much of a challenge anymore. So I do think that it's good. And when you share back into the global community, so the Startup Huddle organisers meet on a monthly basis, you actually get a chance to say, well, this is something that's highlighted quite often in our community. Is that something that's shared in your community? And I'd said this in one of the sessions the other day when we were connecting as a Startup Huddle organiser group. It really has opened that two-way conversation with your community, and it might not be people that are members of Bright Red Triangle, it might be people from the wider ecosystem, but there might be new challenges that our programme isn't actually connected to at the moment that we can think to do something about.
I think that's it. And obviously, Global Entrepreneurship Network is the main existing organization. Congress is one of their outputs, but it comes back to that idea of a network, right? And the purpose of okay, someone could absolutely run their own version of a huddle and take that format. But I guess the benefits are it's hosted on a Global Entrepreneurship Network website. So if one of the global entrepreneurship ambassadors are coming to Edinburgh, for example, they could find out and say, oh, there's a huddle on the same day and contribute. I think that's great. So I guess from being here and being at Congress in Indiana, what would be, and it's a tough question, I know, but either one idea or one session, one speaker, is there anything that's really stood out for you that I guess people who haven't made it to Indiana, you think would be really useful for them to hear or read up on or someone to follow or anything like that?
Yeah, I think I really enjoyed the sessions around youth entrepreneurship. So there was one with a panel on sparking youth entrepreneurship, and there was 5 speakers, so they all were sharing different things in their community, different programs that were working for them. And one of the things that I think to take back is that there was mention of some programs, and I cannot remember them now, that they were starting to build curiosity for entrepreneurship in primary school. So 4-year-olds starting to think of ways that they can build enterprise skills, because these are lifelong skills, so that when they're going into secondary school and they're thinking about subject matters or what they're going to do with their career post, whether they go to university or they go and do something entrepreneurial, they've already got that kind of relationship with their skills, but also what it's like to maybe fail 100 times over, and just that one time is where there's a success that might come from it. So they have a different relationship with failing, because you see in our schooling locally, you're doing your grades, your tests, and obviously you're building that habit. It's negative to fail, but what are you doing alongside that in the curriculum that says, well, actually, yeah, you need to pass your test. But there
It's okay to
is,
try.
yeah, there is like failure, and it's good to fail. So just getting that familiarity with it, that was something that I was thinking of. How do we get people more familiar with failing, even if they're not doing something entrepreneurial? So
It's interesting. Yeah, there has been a good mix on youth entrepreneurship, ecosystem building. We're actually doing something on everything, as you said. It's a bit overwhelming. There's lots, and part of the challenge is being to choose which one to go to. Thankfully, they're all recorded. But yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I would probably have a similar thing. I think there's been lots going on. But what I find is, as you mentioned, there's a different approach from where we are in the UK to what we're seeing here in a lot of different countries. And it's really interesting. I think that the like ecosystem building, the knowledge or the language around that is something that's so much more common here.
yeah,
And it's more common across the US at most of the conferences I would go to. And I think that's an interesting comparison because within the UK, we still very much refer to it as economic development. And while that's still a thing, obviously, there's a couple of really useful models here that explain where ecosystem building fits in. So I'll maybe put a link to just waiting on our next guest there. I'll maybe put a link to that in the notes because I think it was really cool. They called it an art exhibition, but it was like different theoretical models of how entrepreneurial ecosystems work. So anyway, that's something I think to check out. I also was quite interested in I thought coming here. So I've been catastrophizing a little bit about AI, right? I've talked to a few people and they think I'm going crazy. And they've said you're just in a deep rabbit hole. So I was fully coming expecting to, I guess, be fully validated or be told that, Chris, you're going crazy. But it's been quite interesting. I thought, like, the first 2 days, for example, I had very few mentions of AI. And it seems like they packaged it all into one day, which is quite an interesting approach because I thought it was just going to come up everywhere. So that's interesting. I think it's obviously embedded in every conversation. And Mark Cuban, who spoke yesterday, really pushed that as, everybody's, I guess the favorite line is, if you haven't done it, just go try, go experiment, build it in. And it's interesting because there was a couple of, I'm sure there was a couple of ruffled feathers in the audience. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I think so. Everybody has a different perspective on AI. They probably share the perspective that you had. So some people are a little bit less wanting to try and be experimental with it. I mean, I use it, I experiment with it. I've tried the different platforms to see what kind of output comes from it. So I actually find it quite beneficial.
Totally. And I think that's the thing. We're just learning how to use it. So we're going to wrap up. But is there anything that you think we need to share or a resource we should point to, or is there anything else that you think would be valuable to record on this so others can hear it later?
I think as the national director for Scotland and also a Huddle organizer, for people to look at the Huddle format, there's so many networks within the Global Entrepreneurship Network. So if the Huddle is something that you think that your local institution or company or as an individual you could pull together, like look at it and start running and bring people together. So I think that's something that
Great. And they can just go online, Startup Huddle,
yeah, it's all in the Global Entrepreneurship Network website. So they actually have a list of all the different things that you could be doing in your local community.
Oh, right.
And there's playbooks for it. So the Startup Huddle has a playbook. If you're looking to do something during Global Entrepreneurship Week, you don't need to be affiliated already with them. Like sign up and then get a playbook of how you could be doing. There's so many recommendations on the site. So even if you don't know where to start in doing an event,
That's a good place.
yeah, that's a good place to start. Go on and see what other people are doing. They have reference to what people are doing around the world.
It's great. Thank you very much. It was good to chat.
Yeah, thank you.